Good evening, everybody. Hell's Unicorn here once again. I wasn't going to touch this issue. I wasn't going to touch it with a 40-foot pole because I see it as an absolute and complete utter distraction, and whether it's 4 women or 4,000 women making the claim, it's still a distraction. Now allow me to explain exactly what it is I'm talking about. For those of you that might have an idea but want to hear me say it, because I don't think anybody doesn't know about this anymore. For the past week or so, there's been a media circus going on, all of it surrounding Herman Cain. And it's all been perpetuated by the left side of the fake left-right paradigm in the mainstream media. And it basically circles around some anonymous sexual harassment accusations that have been expunged. They've been sealed, actually, not expunged. And there were so-called 5-figure settlement payments, which means it could have been anything between $10,000 and $99,000 and $99,999.99, which is 2 more nines than the ridiculous 999 plan, the angry German plan, as I like to call it, that Herman Cain has. Technically, it's 4 extra nines if you count the cents, but I won't begrudge the point. The long and short of this, the main reason why I don't like this is not because it hurts Herman Cain, because I'm indifferent to that. I'm not supporting him. I'm not going to support him. I've gotten to the point now with Herman Cain that it isn't really his stances on the issues, which are so incredibly wrong that I can't even fully fathom how he came to them. It's not the pro-Federal Reserve nonsense, the pro-Alan Greenspan stuff. It's not the ridiculous cop-out explanations of how he would handle foreign policy, which resembles the Nancy Pelosi, we have to read it before we know what's in it, so we have to vote on it before we can read it, or however that went. And it's not all that other stuff. The problem that I have with Herman Cain is he is a walking soundbite. Every answer that he gives is a soundbite. It's like he's programmed himself to basically adapt to that environment, and he's catering to the stupidity of the American people. My problem with this media circus that's going on right now is it's catering to the same idiot factor in this country tenfold. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a sore throat here, so I'm drinking hot tea while I'm doing this particular blog. Basically, the way I come down on it is like this. Most people that watch televised news are in basically a trance-like dream state, I'll just put it like that. They believe every piece of nonsense that comes off the television screen, and at the same time they're fixated on a visual medium of information, ergo something that requires all but zero abstract thought whatsoever. Their brains are in a semi-vegetated state. It's a play on emotions rather than on one's sense of logic and reason. And as I'm always fond of saying, there is no logic in politics. But with the very neophyte-based platform that Cain goes on, there we're dealing with at least some form of an abstract concept. We're dealing with something that's oversimplified, but it's something that is in some way able to be seen through the art of abstraction. This sexual harassment nonsense is in no way, shape, or form an intellectual endeavor. It's entirely a play on people's emotions, and it's a way to heighten the professional sports atmosphere that we all see on display every day in the body politic. Cain's on Party A side. They're down at the 5-yard line, waiting to get pushed in so that there's a safety and the other team gets control of the ball. And so, basically, all the people on the opposing team that are pushing them back to the end zone are in full gear now, and the people that are on the team being pushed back are emptying their pockets to support Herman Cain because they feel bad for him taking a trouncing like this. It does nothing to advance the intellectual dialectic that should be going on here. And I notice I say should be going on because it almost never does, but it definitely ought to be going on. And it also heightens the stupidity factor. It's kind of like the same concept of an air conditioner. Cold air is added, but hot air is pulled out. This works sort of in a reverse fashion. Hot air gets pumped in, and that cool, rational way of dealing with things is being pushed right outside. The people that are not in the sporting event are not in the arena at all. They're out on the outside philosophizing and being listened to by almost no one. Everybody's glued to their television sets. Everybody's glued to their favorite talk radio personality, be it Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, or whoever, whatever. But nobody's thinking. Everybody is in full-out touchdown mode or in full-out defensive mode. But on the other hand, I actually did suffer to listen to Mark Levin for a little while. I think there's a couple of days. It was right before the weekend. And basically, there was a charge that was laid at the feet of the Rick Perry campaign that they put out this story and started this whole circus. While I don't know for sure whether or not Rick Perry was actually responsible for this, Mark Levin actually did point out a lot of means and motives for doing so, and also plenty of opportunity. Those three alone don't fully establish the fact, but they all result in a reasonable suspicion. I wouldn't be surprised if Perry did this, not just because he has an obvious motive to do so, but also because this fits a pattern of behavior for him. Rick Perry is the quintessential mafia don, and if you doubt this, take a look at his extensive political background in Texas. I'm hopeful that this doesn't help Rick Perry at all because I utterly can't stand him, and I was hoping that he would implode after Iowa so I wouldn't have to see his ugly mug on the television set every day, but I guess that's not in the cards. But one person who clearly does not benefit from this ridiculous sideshow is Ron Paul. There's some people in the pro-Ron Paul camp, which I'm also a part of, who say that, oh, this is great, Herman Cain has taken a trouncing, he's going to fall out. That doesn't help Paul at all. The only thing that helps Paul is by people hearing the actual truth on issue A, issue B, and issue C. Nobody's talking about the Federal Reserve and how it's destroying the country right now through destroying the currency. Nobody's talking about how horrible these wars are, particularly the way Afghanistan's been going. Nobody's talking about how we still have no frickin' civil liberties in this country, nor have we for the past 10 years. Everybody's talking about this stupid soap opera sex scandal. Nobody wins in this, except for maybe Obama and Mitt Romney. Those two will probably win just because they're the de facto choices. One because he's a pretty boy, and the other because he's a cult icon. You can pretty much figure out which of the two I'm talking about there. So my advice to any and all people in the Ron Paul camp, don't lavish in this. Don't dignify it with your time or with your praise. Stick to hitting Herman Cain where it counts, which is on his idiotic stances, particularly with regards to the Federal Reserve. And, you know, if you're going to go after him personally, go after him on things that really matter, such as his inability to give a intelligent answer when asked a question about actual policy, such as that one that he gave at that debate between him and Newt Gingrich when the different modes of healthcare provider programs basically came up. I'll provide a link in the description that deals with that particular video as well. So that pretty much covers it for this. This is more something I needed to get off my chest than it was me actually trying to deconstruct something, because there's nothing to deconstruct here. Innuendos don't get deconstructed. They're felt. It's an entirely emotional process where it's divorced completely from reason. Contrary to what some people believe, emotions are not bad unless they're what's guiding your every choice in life. Emotions are a consequence, not the cause of thought. Keep that in mind, my friends. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.